Sam Groth is a huge server. I mean, his serve speed, reaches, 210 kilometers per hour over. And, with the ball boys and ball girls, if they're facing someone like a Raonic or a Sam Groth or a Ivo Karlovic or a John Isner, can that be a bit scary sometimes when the ball's coming kind of towards you, not towards you, but almost towards you at such an insane speed?
Yeah, it's frightening. I can tell you from experience, but I'm sure most people probably saw last year the kid who got hit in the groin. I think that was Feliciano Lopez, maybe, who hit him. And a tennis ball certainly does hurt when you get hit at that pace. So yeah, it's certainly frightening, especially on the smaller courts when there's not as much distance between the server and the ball kid. But yeah, the reaction times are pretty good, so they'll get themselves out of the way more often than not.
So what would for instance, who would be the fastest server that you've been on court with?
It's probably a tough one to pick between Milos Raonic and Sam Groth. They're both pretty quick, up around the 220, 230 plus.
So what did it feel like when
frightening.
A ball would just come towards you? Not much reaction time at all.
It's frightening. You're just hoping that the player in front of you hits it, otherwise you're in trouble. But it was pretty frightening.
I could imagine it's like, I don't know, say in cricket, you're versing an extremely fast bowler in a way.
It's like facing Brett Lee in the middle of the MCG. It's pretty frightening, but yeah, you get yourself out of the way more often than nothing.
And so what did you think of Milos Raunic's tournament? I think he should have made the finals.
It was pretty impressive.
And that was a player that everyone was like, okay, he's going to take the next step. And he's got the game, he's got the serve, he's got the power. His ground stroke seems to have improved.
Yeah. His
movement, everything. Do you think he'll break into that, top 5 in the future?
Without any shadow of a doubt, he will. If he was probably a bit unlucky, obviously he ran into Andy Murray in the semi-final, but he's going to be something pretty good in the not too distant future, and I think he's going to be good for a long time. So Canadian tennis is going to go pretty well, I reckon, the next 10 years with him and Eugenie Bouchard and Straw. So yeah, he's going to be something pretty good, no doubt. Yeah,
Eugenie Bouchard, who you just mentioned, she's such a fan favourite at the Australian Open. She's got the Genie Army in the stands.
I was there that night when she played Agnieszka Radwanska, round 2, and the Genie Army were present. They were sitting up behind me. Certainly loud, and that's sort of what we were talking about before, with kids getting distracted by the atmosphere in the crowds. It's sort of groups like that can throw their concentration a bit, but they certainly did very well that night as well.
With the Genie Army though, some of them, are Australians, aren't they?
They're all Australians.
They're all Australians, so you don't really see...
They found her, I think, 2.5 years ago now, just on one of the back courts. She got through round 1, and then she continued to go through. She had a really good run that year. I think she might have made the semi-finals, and they followed her right through the tournament, and have followed her ever since.
Yeah, and what did she do well in this Australian Open?
No, she got beat in the second round, but she came up against the world number 4, Agnieszka Radwanska, so she was a bit unlucky with the draw, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about the Australian Open. Some people can, just like from a mutual observer perspective, they can forget that the draw can play a massive part in the success of a player. For instance, Bernard Tomic from Australia, I think he was born in Germany though, he had quite an easy draw, I think, in the first week. Draw. Yeah, and he eventually got beaten by Murray.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted... I know Murray's like an awesome player, but I kind of wanted to see Tomic do a bit better, just for Australian tennis in general.
It was a bit disappointing, but he's still only 22 or 3, I think, so he's got plenty of tennis ahead of him, and it's going to be good. He's starting to come good in the last couple of years, or last 12 months particularly, and I don't think it'll be long before he breaks through the top 10.
Who do you think is going to break into the top 10 first, Kyrgios or Tomic?
Tomic, for sure. Pretty confident about that too.
Why do you think that?
I think he's starting to get himself together a bit quicker. He's a couple of years older than Nick, but I think he's starting to get himself together a bit quicker, and is starting to play much better tennis, much more consistent. Nick's got all the game and all the shots and stuff, but he just probably goes for too many shots that probably aren't there. But I think Bernie's reined himself in a bit. He's going to be a good player in the very, very short future.
Yeah, and that's a good point you raise. Like, Kyrgios has got, if you're going to see a match between either Kyrgios or Tomic, you'd probably watch Kyrgios because he's got the entertainment
Nick's
factor.
definitely must watch television every time he steps onto the court because you'd never know what he could do.
Yeah, he's got a rocket serve. He just slams the ball, forehand, backhand. He's got immense power. Like I've seen, Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic just in interviews and stuff. They say, "Oh yeah, Kyrgios, he's a special talent."
Yeah, he could definitely be absolutely anything if he wanted to be, and I hope that he realises that potential and realises it pretty quick because he could be one of the best we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've also had some, good Australian tennis players in the past, but because we've only really had Hewitt, taking the mantle, and he's gotten a bit older, we've got these young players now who hopefully can, start playing a bit better. And we also have Kokianakis, who some people have forgotten because he didn't play at the Australian Open due to injury. Have you been following his career closely?
Yeah, Thanasi's going to be another good player. I think he's, again, a bit younger, or slightly younger maybe than Nick. And he's a fair bit back now after not playing in Melbourne, but it's going to be a fairly dangerous trio, those three, in the Davis Cup for the next few years, hopefully. Obviously that's on in about 3 weeks time, I think. We play, I think it's the United States here in Melbourne. That's going to be big for Australia. Hopefully we can get over the line there and progress through to the next round. But that trio, Kyrgios, Kokonakis and Tomic, it's going to be one of our best probably in the last, whoever knows, since before Leighton Hewitt really hadn't had much. But yeah, that trio is going to be pretty dangerous, I think, for a long time to come.
And especially, I can't wait for that Davis Cup tie between America and Australia. I think they're playing at Kooyong.
Yeah, back on the grass at Kooyong, back in the old days. It's vintage Australian Open, back before Melbourne Park, on the grass at Kooyong. So I think there's plenty of people who are very, very excited about that. And yeah, I think it's going to be good for Australian tennis to get back on to Kooyong, first time in a long time. And hopefully it'll bring big crowds and a good atmosphere into the stadium.
The only thing is that, America, who's their top player?
John Isner will probably be the top player, and the second player in singles will be Jack Sock, who also is a good young up-and-coming player. So it's going to be a good tie. But as I think, hopefully on the home court, home crowd, hopefully they'll get us over the line.